Ding. You sent the mid-grade Dao weapon Xian Tian Ding, and the tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical attack multiplier, 829,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Shangping Dao Instrument Heaven and Earth Mother pending. Ding. You sent 3 million top-grade spirit stones, and tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess crit multiplier, 830,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 249 billion ultimate spirit stones. Ding. You sent the flying dragon sword, and tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical hit multiplier, 840,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 9 thunder sword. Ding. You sent out a series of system arrivals continued endlessly, and Suchonga only felt that his brain was buzzing. No way, the more things are sent, the more things are naturally subsidized back. However, he didn't care much about ordinary things, and his attention was on the 1,000-year-old Yuan spirit fruit. That fruit can replenish vitality and aura, and it is something that really improves its own strength, so naturally it should pay more attention. Soon, a series of sounds sounded, and it was the turn of the final spirit fruit compensation to arrive. Ding. You sent the Millennium Yuan spirit fruit, and the tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical attack multiplier, 850,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 years of Shanyang fruit. 10,000 years Shanyang fruit? Suchonga was overjoyed, and subconsciously felt that this fruit must not be simple. Soon, a string of system messages flooded into my mind. He immediately understood that this fruit was formed by growing for 10,000 years in the cruel environment of the underground volcano, absorbing a large amount of hot magma scorching power, until it reached the sun. And the effect is even more violent. Not only has the effect of enhancing the vitality and spiritual energy in the body, but also has the miraculous effect of enhancing the innate fire body. Suchonga is originally a congenital Binghua body, and it is naturally in perfect harmony with this supreme yang to rigid thing. He did not make any unnecessary movements and immediately took out the fruit. Looking down, I saw that it was the size of a duck pear, and the shape and size were similar to pears in the previous life, but the surface was different, flowing with hot magma, steaming hot, and feeling very hot in the hand. Swallow immediately. In an instant, an extremely hot stream entered the mouth, automatically opened, like hot slurry water, flowing towards all parts of the body on its own. Everywhere he passed, the meridians were broken under the high temperature, and then reorganized, and it didn't take long for Suchonga to feel that the vitality in his body skyrocketed, and the vitality swept every corner of the body, and the rolling spiritual energy flowed into the Fate Palace, rolling inside, like the water of a big river, rushing out. Boom! Suddenly there was an explosion. Under the impact of the surging energy, his cultivation skyrocketed. Breakthrough. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. Seal the realm of a heavy heaven. Seal the 3 heavens of the realm. Seal the 5 heavens of the realm. Seal the 7th heaven of the realm. Seal the 9 heavens of the realm. Crossing a large realm in one breath, Suchonga felt refreshed, and his whole body seemed to be reborn. His spirit was high and his expression was bright. Subsequently, he tried to operate the innate fire body. Suddenly, a layer of hot magma appeared on the surface of the skin, turbulent. Flowing, rushing past, the breath on the body became more and more pure. Masculine, to the strongest and strongest, the whole person looked like a brave fire god. Master, it's so hot. Xiao Yu's face turned red by the firelight, and he couldn't stand it a little. Su Xianyue said with a smile, Gongzi, it's a pity that your magical power is not used to fry meat. Huh? Su Chang'e was stunned and said, frying meat? Su Xianyue said with a smile, in the primeval period, there were some powerful people who liked to arrest you. Once there was a congenital Binghua body scattered cultivation was arrested, that great power stripped his robe. Let him run the physique as a high-temperature fried meat board, that scattered cultivation had no choice, had to do it, that great power put the meat slices on him, add some seasonings, and eat while cooking, great. As soon as he spoke, Su Chang'e was excited. One day, you two will use me as a meat board and eat it while you make it? Su Lianyue nodded with a smile, if Gongzi doesn't mind, our sisters, naturally don't mind. Xiao Yu also smiled and said, Master, you lie down, we put the meat slices on your chest, you run your physique, we can eat while cooking. Su Chang'e smiled and didn't say much. Maybe you can eat it while cooking. Then, he collected his physique, hid the breath on his body, and then went to see if Huang Jiulong was awake. Soon, he walked in front of Huang Jiulong. I saw that his eyes were closed, his breathing was disordered, and he was unconscious like a dead pig. By the way, Xiao Yu, you and Lianer enter the pagoda. Su Chang'e suddenly thought of something and said, Xiao Yu and Lianer are going to wait for the appearance of the tournament. If they wait for the master mother to see it, it will not be good in case there will be a branch of the festival. Xiao Yu and Lier were very obedient, did not ask more, and entered the tower. Then, Su Chang'e found an open space with a good view and quietly waited for the arrival of his master. Time is like an arrow, and 7 hours flash. At a certain moment, Huang Jiulong woke up slowly opened his eyes, and saw a figure in the open space, not far away. When I looked at it, it turned out to be a small transparent. He wanted to stand up, but he felt groggy and buzzing in his head, dizzy by the brick, confused, unable to move, and unable to even speak. After a while, the sun set in the west, the sun set and the time arrived in the evening. At this time a beautiful silhouette finally appeared in the sky, which was belated. Its master. Su Chang'e's eyes lit up, overjoyed. Looking at it from afar, I saw that Qianying was dressed in neon clothes, with a convex front and a back, white skin and beautiful long legs, and the same double crystal peach blossom eyes as the beautiful master. Or how to say that it is a mother and daughter. Only now, panting in his mouth, he stumbled all the way over, and he could pass out at any moment. Su Chang'e was happy here, and Huang Jiulong was uncomfortable. He couldn't move, he wanted to open his mouth to speak, but couldn't say it. He could only look at the silhouette from afar, and then glanced at Xiao. Transparent, helpless in his heart, and had a bad premonition. The silhouette in the sky was not someone else, it was Shui Hongyao. When she walked here, her strength was almost exhausted, and when she was helpless, a familiar figure suddenly appeared in her sight. It was a figure below. Dressed in white, his long hair is like ink. Yushu is in the wind and dashing. Shui Hongyao recognized it at a glance, and muttered softly, Hey, why is Ziyajich here? When Su Chang'e first entered the sect, she cared for Su Chang'e meticulously. And the relationship between the two sides was cordial, and she usually called Suchanga, to make small songs. Now that they have met, it is natural to go down and reunite. Thinking of this, Shui Hongyao's figure moved and fell down. Soon, she stepped on the ground and came to Suchanga. Then, without saying a word, he opened his pink and white hands, and couldn't help but hold Suchanga to his chest. Xiao Gij, come and come, the master mother wants to stick with you. Suchanga was a little suffocated by her hold, took a deep breath and said, Although he was almost breathless, he didn't pull out. Master has always been like this to herself. Here, Huang Jiolong saw this scene and immediately became angry. The eyes are on fire, and anger is gushing. I was holding my breath in my chest. But there was no way, the body could not move, and I could only watch Shui Hongyao being snatched away by Xiao Transparent. Shui Hongyao slowly let go of Suchanga, her white face did not even have the slightest blush, and said with some ridicule, Xiao Gij, have you missed me during this time? Suchanga rolled his eyes and said, Master, didn't you ask knowingly? Ha ha ha, forget it, don't ask. Shui Hongyao knew it and smiled. She is mature, very feminine, and has a kind of knowledge. The beauty of sex. To put it bluntly, any man under the sky will fall into it. At this moment, Suchanga suddenly found that Shui Hongyao had run away from her shoes due to her exhaustion. The shoe fell off on the side, resembling the goddess high-heeled sandals on the blue star in the previous life, and the whole was silver-white, inlaid with crystal-like gemstones, shining and beautiful. He turned his head to look at Shui Hongyao's feet again. Without shoes, the white and tender jade feet were naturally exposed, and the skin of the 5 toes was like coagulation, and the pink was tender to the depths of the soul, like charming white jade. Shui Hongyao Ji. Sex is generous, grinning and said, Oh, I didn't care, I even ran away from my shoes. With that, he bent down to pick it up. Suchanga said with a smile, Master, you are tired from running and working. Why don't you sit down first, and I'll put it on for you? Shui Hongyao was indeed tired, took a deep breath and slowed down, and said, My family's little song is awesome. Immediately, she went to the side and sat down. It wasn't until she sat down that her fatigue was completely released, and she let out a long sigh of relief, her body trembled slightly, and she felt like she was going to be paralyzed, and even her legs were trembling slightly. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. People are like this, many times they are very tired, but as long as they don't stop, they can always persevere. As soon as I stopped, I was shaking all over and could no longer walk. Shui Hongyao's current situation is like this, her legs are overworked and constantly trembling. Suchanga picked up the crystal shoe and said, Master, stretch out your legs. Shui Hongyao let out a breath of turbid breath and tried to move her leg, but found that her leg was shaking so badly that she couldn't move, so she had to say helplessly, No, I'm too tired and a little uncontrollable. Suchanga didn't say much, helped her lift the jade leg, and saw that she was still wearing a layer of white thin socks. He moved quickly grabbed Shui Hongyao's jade feet in the palm of his hand, and then put the crystal shoes on. On Huang Jiolong's side, his eyes suddenly lit up. It was only now that he suddenly found that after more than 3 years, Shui Hongyao has become more mature and charming than before, and the whole body exudes irresistible charm. This mature beauty, like a gentle township, makes people want to be intoxicated forever. But when the reaction came, she suddenly realized that Suchanga was helping her put on her shoes, and her behavior was so intimate. I'm Chow, a flash of shock flashed in his eyes. Then he immediately couldn't sit still, his expression changed sharply, his teeth were cracked, and his anger was extreme. Boom! He mobilized his whole body strength to finally drive his body, shouted, and rushed over madly, pulling his throat hysterically, Chow thief. The warning of Yunhua Fairy suddenly came out in the ring, don't be impulsive. Things have changed, don't be impulsive. Huang Jiolong is angry, where is willing to listen, Yang Tian roared angrily. All this should have been mine, it should have been me talking to her, why? That person should obviously be me. I'm going to be his uncle. Between the electric flint, Huang Jiolong came to Shui Hongyao. You're mine. He roared at Shui Hongyao, and then turned his head, a pair of tiger eyes. Stared at Su Chang'e fiercely, shot out fiercely, clenched his 10 fingers into a fist, and punched out towards Su Chang'e. Seeing Huang Jiolong so arrogant, a touch of disappointment swept through Yunhua Fairy's heart. She was sleeping when Su Chang'e knocked on the brick just now, and now she just woke up, facing such an impulsive situation from Huang Jiolong. Well? Shui Hongyao was talking with Su Chang'e very happily, and was happy, Leng Buting was disturbed, suddenly disgusted, with a displeased face, full of disgust for Huang Jiolong. What are you doing? You dare to do something to Xiao Gij. Snap. She shot on the spot, the palm rune flowed, bursting out endless terrifying murderous aura, and slapped Huang Jiolong in the face. Poof. Before Huang Jiolong's fist hit Su Chang'e's body, he was slapped in the face. By this sudden slap, spraying a mouthful of blood on the spot, 18 teeth were slapped off at once, and his body was directly overturned and flew 100,000 miles away. Bang! He slammed into a mountain 100,000 miles away, and the mountain body was suddenly smashed out of a human-shaped crack. He vomited blood in the crack. Only felt that his eyes were venous, his head was dizzy, and he almost didn't pass out. In the next moment, he quickly burned his cultivation, stumbled up, and fled. In a panic. My mother, I was carried away by anger just now, she is so good to Xiao. Transparent, how can she not make a move? He gasped while fleeing, and in the blink of an eye, he fled thousands of miles away and disappeared. Vulnerable. Shui Hongyao looked at his back from a distance and let out a sneer. Although she is tired, how can she say that she is also the power of the ascension period, and to crush Huang Jiolong is just a hand to palm. When it's time to shoot, there is no ambiguity at all. And she also knew that Xiao Gij had no cultivation. If she was hit by Huang Jiolong's blow, the consequences would be unpredictable, and she had to make a move. Master, well done. Su Chang'e smiled heartily. I have to say that this slap is a real relief. That person is from Tiantai Peak. What is he doing here? Also, what did he mean by what he just said? Shui Hongyao naturally recognized Huang Jiolong and asked puzzled. This question, Su Chang'e naturally won't answer, I guess it's crazy. As for what the meaning of the words is, I should be envious of my behavior with you. So closely. This way. Shui Hongyao nodded and didn't think much about it. This kind of thing is completely understandable, he is so beautiful, so intimate to Xiao Gij, which man does not envy it? Immediately, Su Chang'e took out the ultimate golden Xianling Tong pill, and a full 1002 pills emitted a rich medicinal aroma, and the endless recovery power was like a surging spiritual liquid, swept away, and concentrated into an extremely refreshing danxiang. Oh! Just for a moment. Shui Hongyao felt indescribably refreshed in her body, as if all the fatigue in her body had been completely eradicated at this moment. Suchanga said with a smile, "Master, this is a piece of my filial piety, and I hope you can laugh." As he spoke, he directly grabbed Shui Hongyao by Mei's wrist and placed the elixir in her palm. Shui Hongyao's pink lips opened all of a sudden, opened wide, and her beautiful eyes were full of disbelief, and she was surprised. "Xiao Gij. You. Why did you suddenly send me something?" Suchanga has never given her anything before. After all, he is poor and has nothing to send, so he has always milked him. But now feng shui takes turns, and it turns upside down? Thinking of meeting him here, could it be that he learned the news that he was coming back and knew that he had exhausted his resources on the road, so he specially waited here to send supplies to himself? Suchanga smiled lightly. "Master, didn't you hear clearly? This is my filial piety." Filial piety. Shui Hongyao was slightly disappointed. It turned out to be just filial piety. "I thought he had another heart, but I didn't expect it to be just filial piety. Your master died early." She gave such a sentence, and immediately stopped saying more, looking down at the pill. "It doesn't matter if you don't look at it. When you look at it, suddenly the lips open up again, and you are firm and frozen." Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. She found that all of these pills were supreme-level elixirs without exception, and her beautiful eyes suddenly showed a thin color. It turned out to be a supreme-level elixir? "Little song, where did you get it?" Suchanga was already prepared, waved his hand and smiled. "It's just a chance." Hearing this, Shui Hongyao's heart suddenly warmed, as if it was injected into a warm current, echoing in the atrium, blending, and converging. "Serendipity," she whispered. "In this world, everyone's opportunities are ethereal, which can be called a twist of fate and is extremely precious. But Xiao Gij actually gave his chance to himself. Is this not filial piety, but ulterior motive? It turned out to be duplicity. Think about it, men, in fact, their hearts are far more fragile than women. And it is normal that they don't have the courage to say it." Without further thought, she took out a supreme gold Xianling Tong pill and took it. In the mouth of the elixir, all of a sudden, a stream of fragrance melted in the mouth, like sweet sugar smeared with honey, and then melted, poured down from the throat, and transported to various places in the body, repairing the affected limbs. It didn't take long for the feeling of fatigue to subside by half. Phew. Shui Hongyao exhaled a turbid breath as if she had unloaded 1,000 pounds of burden, and the light in her eyes flashed. "The supreme grade elixir is good. If one goes down, my tired body has been repaired." She had eaten ordinary Xianjin Lingtong pills, but she couldn't achieve this effect at all. That kind of elixir, one can only repair a third at most. But this supreme level, one is almost repaired. She was moved in her heart, and felt the warm current in her heart, as if she was moistened by Suchanga. "Master, eat another one. Anyway, there are so many, eat it casually," Suchanga said with a smile. "Little song, it's good to have you." Shui Hongyao smiled, took out another one and took it down. "Anyway, there are more than 1,000, and I am not afraid to eat them all." With the second pill in her stomach, she suddenly felt a burst of comfort in her body. Her overworked body was repaired completely in an instant, and the whole person was radiant and energetic. As she healed, in Suchanga's mind, the system subsidy arrived again. Ding! You sent 1,002 ultimate gold Xianling Tongdan, and the tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess critical attack multiplier, 850,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 9 turns of Jindan Jin, 9 turns Jindan Z, 9 turns Jindan Huang. After a period of prompting, Suchanga was overjoyed. Sure enough, there were 3 9-turn golden pills of different colors, and now everyone around them could transform the Dantian into a life palace. Immediately, he glanced at the master in front of him and planned to give her 1. But just as I was about to start, I suddenly stopped. Now is not the time, let's find an opportunity later. So many supreme-level elixirs have already been sent just now. If such a powerful supreme treasure is sent over, will the master mother think too much? After all, she is so beautiful, she will definitely feel that she has something else in mind. Suchanga had never seen Shigong since he entered the sect, and he had asked about this out of curiosity, and Shui Hongyao told him unambiguously at that time, but it was only a cover, without specifying it. At that time, he asked Shui Hongyao to shout Shenyang. But Shui Hongyao didn't like this title very much, and asked him to change to Master Mother, which meant that the relationship between him and Shigong was completely unmatched, but he was on the same line with Yi Qingyao. Originally, as Shigong's wife, she should definitely be called Shenyang. But if you don't mention Shigong, then judging from Yi Qingyao's relationship, she is Yi Qingyao's mother, so naturally she should be called Shirmu. At that time, Suchanga felt that this seemed to be right, so he changed his name according to her request. Huh? Suddenly, Shui Hongyao discovered something and let out a soft snort. Why is there a cave there? There seems to be something inside. She immediately got up and walked towards it. Suchanga couldn't help but laugh bitterly. The cave was exactly where he had just thrown garbage, that is, man-made. Chance. But I never thought that I was discovered by my master. He wanted to stop it, but it was too late. Shui Hongyao was quick, and he had already walked in, and only for a moment he walked out holding the box. As soon as I opened it, I saw that it was full of sparkling weapons and pills, and all kinds of small porcelain bottles of medicines and spiritual sores. Medicines were available, but they were not too valuable things, and they could barely be regarded as a small chance. And here, in Suchanga's mind, the system subsidy arrived mechanically. Ding! You sent the purple return pill, tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess crit multiplier, 856,000 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 9 Ghost Blue Nether Spirit Pill. Ding. You sent Shanyuan Linglu, and tens of billions of subsidies took effect, triggering an excess critical attack. This excess crit multiplier, 856,200 times. Congratulations to the host for obtaining Qianyuan Qingxin Du. Ding. You send out. Get. Tianjizing Yuan Du. Tianqing Chugadan. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. Kaiyang Sanyuan Dragon Du. Golden-winged great ring knife. Fong Tian draws a halberd. 7-star bronze sword. Yujin Oni head comma. Suchanga was dumbfounded. Cocoon self-binding, really cocoon self-binding. He was stunned, and Shui Hongyao's kind and soft voice sounded in his ears. Xiao Gij, I didn't expect that there was another chance here, or else, I sent you it? Regardless of whether Suchanga accepted it or not, she directly handed it over. In her opinion, just now Suchanga gave herself a full 1002 chances, just as the so-called coming and going is not polite. Now that she has a chance, then Immediately give it to him. Master. Suchanga looked at the box handed over and felt speechless. But also not pretentious, directly accepted. Maybe you can also get stuck bugs and repeat the brush chance. Think about it, what is given away, recycled and brushed infinitely, isn't this beautiful? As soon as this thought crossed his mind, the system voice suddenly sounded. Ding. System tip, items that have been subsidized can be given to others, but they cannot continue to receive subsidies. Oh? Suchanga was slightly stunned, but quickly returned to normal. I almost forgot, at the beginning, Wang Shan couldn't get stuck there, and now it's naturally no exception. He put the box into the storage bag, and then said, Master, let's go back. Quickly. Unexpectedly, Shui Hongyao pouted and said, It's late, it's better to find a place to rest first, and come back tomorrow. Before Suchanga could speak, she felt her soft and delicate jade hand reach out, grab it on her arm, and drag herself to a place. Master, where to go? There's a broken temple, so let's go there and rest for the night. Shui. Hongyao couldn't help but say, dragging his arm and heading towards the broken temple. Suchanga fixed his eyes, only to find that there was a dilapidated temple at the foot of the mountain, which he didn't find when he came 3 days ago. He didn't say much, just let the master pull himself. Not long after, the two came to the bottom of the mountain. Enter the broken temple. I saw that there was a lot of dust in the 4 corners, and all kinds of furniture and objects were extremely broken, and they were covered with cobwebs. Shui Hongyao waved her palm, and a breath swept out, and she quickly sorted out a clean place. She spread out a cool mat, sat down, and greeted, Xiao Gij, you and I are both monks, there is no need to stick to the customs, what are you waiting for? Come and sleep. Su Changa was never a hypocritical person and walked over. P.S. Ask everyone, which is better to put sugar in soy milk or not? Cultivators are different from ordinary people, and once they step into the door of practice, it is equivalent to breaking free from the shackles of the world, acting frankly and brightly, and will not give birth to some other ideas. Therefore, even if we live together, nothing out of the ordinary happens. At night, Shui Hongyao and Suchanga lay face to face on their sides. Shui Hongyao gradually fell asleep, muttering dream words in her mouth, holding Su Changa's head, and holding a firm one. When she hugged her like this, Suchanga suddenly felt that she was going to suffocate and gasped again. However, Suchanga didn't say anything. Master and mother are such a royal person, the royal sister next door. Time flies by, and in the blink of an eye, the night has changed. Shui Hongyao slept more deeply than just now, her pretty face was pink and red, the corners of her mouth were still flowing with hara, and her mouth spat out pandans. She is very enthusiastic about Xiaogu, so she does not pay attention to the image, and she looks almost like this in front of him. And in recent days, the car and horse have indeed exhausted her, so she slept very deeply and deeply. Suddenly, Suchanga's ears moved. What man? In his perception, more than a dozen black-clothed people outside the door came one after another, and a thick martial king realm aura came over. Bad comers. However, they seemed to be afraid of scaring the snake, so they did not rush in, but stood outside the door and secretly observed. Suchanga shook her master silently, but found that she slept heavier than anyone else, and couldn't wake up at all. Master and mother are also too tired, he said to himself in his heart, and immediately changed his mind, intending to kill these secretly coveted people himself. He stretched out a hand and gently took away the wrist that Shui Hongyao was holding on his body. Unexpectedly, as soon as she took her hand away, Shui Hongyao suddenly turned. Her body, her red lips opened lightly, and she said dream words in her mouth. Xiao Gij, you know, I miss you so much in the past 3 years. Saying that, with a snap, her wrist fell again, holding Su Chang'e again. Grass. There was a scolding sound outside the door. Immediately after, another scolding sounded. Damn, we chased this big beauty for 10 days and 10 nights, and now we have finally caught up, but I didn't expect that she was here to sleep with others. In her arms, me off. What are you afraid of? That kid is just a little white face, there is not even a trace of cultivation on his body, this kind of goods, I am afraid that Shui Hongyao will throw it away when he is tired of playing. Boss, do you want me to go in and do this, kid? Don't worry, Shui Hongyao is a powerful ascension period, don't accidentally wake her up. So what to do? Wait until I bind her with a Dao weapon, and then make a decision. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. With a bang, a Dao instrument emitted a brilliant treasure light and bloomed in the dark night. This is a golden rope called the Binding Immortal Rope, which is extremely powerful. This person gently pushed the temple door open a crack, raised his hand, and the Binding Immortal Rope flew in, and the electric flint fell on Shui Hongyao, binding her firmly. Shui Hongyao was still dreaming. After being bound, her rosy lips smacked twice, and saliva flowed out, but she didn't wake up, and she didn't know what she dreamed of. Ha ha ha, let you run for 10 days and 10 nights, you still can't escape our palms. A man in black couldn't hold back, and was about to break into the house as he spoke, but suddenly found that what about the little white face next to Shui Hongyao? At a glance, there was only Shui Hongyao alone on the mattress. It is clear that it was 2 people just now. Where did he run? I'm here. Suddenly, a voice sounded behind him, and there was a shadow floating in the shadow. Not good. The man quickly turned around, and was greeted with a slap. Snap. Under the slap, his head turned 180 times on the spot, his neck made a clicking sound of bone breaking, and then he fell to the ground with a plop, without breathing. Before he died, the last thought flashed in his mind, forget not to look back. Shoo. My grass, this kid is so strong? We misread him. All the men in black were stunned. You must know that their accomplice is a martial king realm cultivator, and they were so easily slapped to death? Before they could react. Snap. Another slap, another man in black, whose head separated from his body, flew out with a grunt, and blood flowed everywhere. You physical strength. Snap. Su Chang'e slapped one by one, and the person who spoke was instantly swollen by the fan's face, and his head directly turned thousands of circles, and fell off his neck abruptly. The saint's body is not covered. If Su Chang'e bursts out with all his strength, let alone the martial king, it is the martial emperor level, he can also slap out a cloud of blood mist. But that undoubtedly caused too much movement, or casual fighting. It is better to be safe. You big brother, there is something to say, there is something to say. Another man in black's head was fanned out, blood and broken bones mixed with splashes, and his death was miserable. In the blink of an eye, the ground was full of corpses, and only 2 of the original more than 10 black-clothed men died. They stood in place, terrified, their legs trembling, and they didn't even have the strength to escape. Suchanga was about to kill them all, but at this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from not far away, "Brother and slow, I have a word." Hearing this voice, Suchanga was too lazy to bird, and directly shot out. Slapped the skin of the two people fiercely. Aha! The two let out a scream in unison, their heads flew into the sky, and blood splattered all over the ground. "Grass, don't give face at all." A voice came from not far away. Suchanga looked over there and said, "With all due respect, what face do you have with me?" In the darkness, a figure slowly walked out. This is a purple-robed middle-aged man, with the aura of a martial emperor. Powerhouse faintly exuding on his body, extremely strong. He did not answer Suchanga's words, but clapped his hands and applauded. Laughing while clapping, "This brother Tai, I see that you are a talented person, and a good person with a fan, why not join us?" As if afraid that Suchanga would refuse, he directly waved his hand and said, "It's not a secret, brother, I am known as Yushu Linfeng Sekanen, a pear blossom presses the begonia of the little silver insect, Zhou Badong, dare to ask your excellency?" Suchanga looked at him as if he was mentally retarded, and the secret road was really worthy of being the person who chased his master and mother for 10 days and 10 nights, and it turned out to be a flower-picking thief. But think about it, only a person like a flower thief can do this kind of thing. Immediately, he boasted to himself, "That's right, I am the strongest king who claims to be the only one in heaven and under the world, and only me on earth. And on earth, Li Ba Yi." Zhou Badong was stunned, and secretly pondered, "Which birdman is this? I haven't heard of it at all." He seemed to throw an olive branch to Suchanga, but he was actually afraid of Suchanga's strength, or he would have fought earlier. It turned out to be forcing your excellency, although he hadn't heard of it. Zhou Badong didn't bother to care about those who didn't, and said with a smile, "Don't hide your excellency, Shui Hongyao mother and daughter are a pair of supreme treasures, just the so-called don't fight and don't know each other, this vast sea of people, if you can get acquainted, that's fate, don't talk nonsense, it's better to do this, you and I divide her mother and daughter, you are big and I am small, how?" Suchanga shook his head, coldly. "Isn't it?" Zhou Badong showed a treacherous expression, and said shamelessly, "Do you want both?" Suchanga said bluntly, "That's right, I want both." Zhou Badong looked stunned, and immediately took out a sledgehammer made of stainless steel, and said coldly, "Then there is no negotiation, let's fight." Bang! He blasted out with a hammer, and the compressed air shook, like a huge mountain rock smashing head-on, unstoppable. Suchanga smiled coldly, stretched out his right palm, and greeted it so lightly. Huh. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2AA54Z8B. Only listen to a hum, as if a gust of wind dragged down the sledgehammer. Zhou Badong suddenly felt that his hammer could not be smashed, as if it touched the ground, unable to advance a single point. After fixing his eyes, he found that the other party only had one hand to restrain this fierce hammer. "This is your strength?" Suchanga's 5 fingers were together, and with a hard grip, the sledgehammer made of fine iron cracked on the spot, and iron filings flew horizontally. That scene was like crushing a piece of dry mud, directly crushing the hammer into pieces. "I grass." Zhou Badong's eyelids jumped, he really didn't expect that the other party's physical strength could be so strong. And he also found at this time that Suchanga still did not have any cultivation aura on him. This situation is very simple, either the other party's cultivation far exceeds him, or the other party hides the cultivation. Su Chang'e had hidden his cultivation as early as when Shui Hongyao arrived. Here, and now he couldn't bear it with only his physical strength. Nimas, try this. Zhou Badong moved quickly, reaching for the storage bag with both hands, to take out something, but Su Chang'e was far faster than him, and before he could take out something, he directly punched his arm. Click, Zhou Badong's arm exploded on the spot, bone stubble splashed everywhere, and blood and flesh flew everywhere. Then, Su Chang'e threw another punch, and Zhou Badong's face instantly changed, and he exclaimed, Don't kill me, I don't want to die, help. Click, Su Chang'e's fist struck out horizontally, penetrating his chest on the spot, breaking his ribs, collapsing downward, shattering his spine, and all kinds of strip-like lumps of flesh flew everywhere. Su Chang'e's fist penetrated from his chest to his back, stained with blood, and then withdrawn. When it was withdrawn, Zhou Badong was dead and didn't even have gas. Then, Su Chang'e rummaged on him for a while and successfully found a storage bag. Opening the bag, there were pearlescent treasures inside, all kinds of shining onyx gemstones piled up, in addition to various elixir exercises, armor, swords, and weapons used in the martial emperor realm, all of which were valuable treasures. He took these in, and then searched for a while on the more than 10 black-clothed people, and successfully found some low-grade herbs, spirit soldiers, sword and halberd elixirs. These were all garbage. He glanced at it, came directly to the halfway up the mountain, and threw things into it as artificial chance. Afterwards, I found a place to take a bath, changed into a brand new white clothes, and returned to the broken temple. On the mattress, Shui Hongyao was still asleep, snoring slightly. One night without words, in the blink of an eye. In the early morning, Shui Hongyao woke up slowly. When she opened her eyes, she suddenly felt wrong. How could she feel tight? After fixing his eyes, he found himself bound. And the bundle is so strong that it can't even move. She looked herself up and down, and suddenly blushed. Originally, it was nothing to be bound, but after taking a closer look, I saw that under this bundle, her convex place was more convex, and the upturned place was more upturned, which made her face that almost did not blush and could not help but blush. This little song, you bundled? She looked at Su Chang'e. There was no blame in her eyes, and there was a different kind of shyness. Su Chang'e waved his hand and said, I don't know, master, you didn't know what dream you were dreaming about last night. You groped around indiscriminately. I didn't know where to find a rope, and I tied myself up. I didn't cultivate, I couldn't stop you. Shui Hongyao felt strange. Thinking that I really slept very deeply last night, my memory seemed to hold Xiao Gij in my arms and hold it tightly. As for the rest, perhaps, really? One more look at the rope. It's still a Dao instrument? Where did it come from? Always couldn't figure it out. That's it, since you can't figure it out, then you don't want to. She shook her head, explained it herself, and then closed the table and said, let's go. Go back to the sect. Su Chang'e nodded. The reason why he didn't untie the immortal rope last night was that he was worried about what to do if he woke up Shui Hongyao halfway. This is a Dao instrument. How can a person who has no cultivation be able to unravel it? Shui Hongyao just pushed open the door, and suddenly looked stunned. I saw that there were corpses everywhere outside. There were more than a dozen, and there was a middle-aged man in a purple robe. They actually caught up? She knew these people. Half a month ago, a group of flower pickers always secretly followed her, but they were all picked out by her and erased, but those who were killed were Small minions, inexhaustible, killing one by one, and never getting rid of it. But this time there were so many, and there was also a purple-robed middle. Aged, it seemed that this group of flower-picking thieves was served in a pot. Only, who killed them? Shui Hongyao was very surprised. She turned her head to look at Suchanga and asked, Xiajij, did you hear movement last night? Suchanga shook his head and said, Master, if you don't even sense movement. I can't even sense it. Okay. Shui Hongyao felt incredible. Maybe they started infighting. Immediately, she grabbed Suchanga's arm and said, Go, follow me back. Mother, the child thought it would take you a while, but I didn't expect to come back so soon. Li Wafeng, in the small courtyard, Yi Qingyao looked at the returning Shui Hongyao and was overjoyed. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Shui Hongyao glanced at Suchanga next to her, smiled, and said, Thanks to Xiao Gij for sending me more than 1,000 supreme-grade elixirs, otherwise I would have to delay for 2 more days on the road, and my strength is exhausted. In case I faint somewhere, it will not be good to be picked up by someone. Yi Qingyao covered her mouth and smiled, But isn't it, my lord, you are beautiful and graceful. If you really faint somewhere, the consequences are not easy to say. The child originally planned to go out to pick you up on the way, but just as you were about to leave, you were already home. As she said, she threw a bright smile at Suchanga and said, Apprentice. Thank you. Suchanga waved his hand and said, What's polite? By the way, apprentice, Yi Qingyao suddenly changed her tone, since Master Mu Shang has returned, then let's go out tomorrow to travel, right? Obey the master's orders. Suchanga nodded. At this moment, there was a sudden commotion from Tiantai Peak, and a panicked voice came, Senior Brother Huang, what's wrong with you? Don't scare us, wake up quickly, Senior Brother Huang. What's going on? Yi Qingyao looked over there. Suchanga also turned his head to look. I saw that on the square of Tiantai Peak, Huang Jiolong fell in a pool of blood, miserable. His clothes were almost exploded into pieces, like a beggar. A red slap print on his face was printed there, and his face was blue and swollen, almost swollen into a pig's head. The most important thing is that there are bloody bone stubbles everywhere on the body, and the bones are cracked, which is very miserable. Huang Jiolong was seriously injured yesterday and stumbled back and finally returned to the sect at night, and when he returned, he exhausted his last breath, fell on the square with a bang, and passed out. It wasn't until this morning, when some disciples got up early, that they discovered him. Soon, Du Sihai and Lu Wanhong arrived. What's going on? Who did it? Du Sihai saw him so miserable, and his eyes suddenly spewed fire and jumped on the spot. As for Lu Wanhong, he was even more angry that his eyes turned red, blowing his beard and glaring. Peak Lord, Senior Brother Huang still has qi, hurry, a disciple said. Luckily, Du Sihai hurriedly pinched Huang Jiolong's people, and after a long time, Huang Jiolong finally woke up, wow, and spewed out a large mouthful of blood, like a ghost door closed and gone. His face was pale and his face was bloodless. What's going on? Who hit you? Du Sihai filled his chest with anger, mixed with distress. Lu Wanhong's heart was dripping blood, and he leaned over and cried bitterly. Good apprentice, my good apprentice, it's good that you're okay, but you can be scared to death as a teacher. Everything he has now is obtained by Huang Jiolong. If Huang Jiolong is gone, his status will immediately plummet, and there is no room for sloppiness. Lu Wanhong snorted and asked with tears, good apprentice, how can you be beaten so badly? You are so strong, and there are still holy soldiers in your hands. Who has such great skills to hurt you? I, Huang Jiulong, said bitterly. The Peak Lord and the Master are now furious. If as soon as they say it, they will definitely find Shui Hong Yao, then this matter will definitely make a big fuss, and it will inevitably show their stuffing at that time. Shui Hong Yao will definitely ask at that time, is he strong? Strong can't take my palm? Thinking of this, Huang Jiulong forced himself to take this breath and said, don't ask, I'm so tired, I just want to sleep well. In addition, call those alchemists to Lao Tzu and take care of him. Du Sihai raised his eyebrows, beckoned to the side, and immediately countless alchemists rushed over. These alchemists are all kinds of alchemists in the outside world, with profound attainments. Many of them are people from the Dan Temple, and at this moment they dare not raise their heads like ants here, and their palms are oozing sweat. Soon, a group of alchemists carried Huang Jiulong to the alchemy hall on a stretcher and began refining elixirs for him to repair his wounds. Yua Peak. Seeing the scene just now, Shui Hong Yao snorted coldly and told Yi Qingyao what happened in Dabi Mountain. Knowing the situation, Yi Qingyao suddenly realized that something was wrong. Raised his eyebrows, and said, Huang Jiulong, it won't be trying to cut off you, right? Shui Hong Yao said with a smile, anyway, this time fortunately there is a little song. The morning sun shone on her face, setting off her pretty face with a delicate pink color, like a blooming peony flower. P.S. Thank you, mother who loves to eat bamboo horsetail bullwhip, for the inspiration capsule, /love letter, /like, all things death, milk tea. A few hours later, Sikong too came to Luofeng and found Su Chang'e. He looked directly at Su Chang'e and said lukewarmly, Shao transparent, you are blessed again, go and get the waste pill. Hearing this, the corners of Su Chang'e's mouth raised upward. Sikong too was right, he was really blessed, and every time Huang Jiulong suffered a heavy blow, he could get benefits. I have to say that Huang Jiulong is really a beautiful leek flower, and everyone loves and everyone praises. Immediately, he followed Sikong too to Tiantai Peak. It didn't take long, Tiantai Peak, Alchemy Hall. There were many people here, and one after another powerful figures were standing. All of them were many high-level officials of Tiantai Peak, as well as many alchemists. All of them were sad at this moment. In front of the Dan furnace, Du Sihai had already finished refining pills and was sorting out the freshly baked Shanghao bone-nourishing pills. As the name suggests, bone-nourishing pills can nourish the bone marrow and quickly repair damaged bones. And Lu Wanhong, anxious like an ant on a hot pot, is helping Huang Jiulong wipe the sweat beads on his forehead. After Sikong too brought Su Chang'e here, he went to help Hu Han clean up the residue in the Dan furnace. Su Chang'e looked around, and saw that everyone who should come from Tiantai Peak was coming, a sea of people, one after another. Everyone was depressed. And depressed. Seeing this, he secretly sneered, I don't know, I thought Huang Jiulong died. He walked to Huang Jiulong, and saw beads of sweat dripping from Huang Jiulong's body, soaking his robe, gritting his teeth, and wailing, ah. Lu Wanhong, beside him, burst into tears. Heaven kills, which one hit you? If I find him, I will crush his corpse into 10,000 pieces. Hearing these words, Huang Jiulong felt a grievance in his heart, but he was dumb and ate Huang Lian, and he couldn't say it bitterly. And he also saw Su Chang'e coming, his eyes spitting fire, and the sound of Wailing was violently aggravated several times. "Aya! Hurt me, kill me." He wanted to scold Suchanga, but he was afraid that he would move his whole body with a trigger, so he could only wail like this to vent his grievances. Suchanga looked down at him, and suddenly noticed that the ring on his hand was fluctuating, and it seemed that something transparent had gone outside the hall. "That's the Yunhua fairy." Suchanga didn't have time to deal with her, and said angrily towards Huang Jiolong's urn, "Senior brother Huang, you have opened up 18 cave heavens, and you have also triggered the peerless Tianjiao of the Daoying 10. Trembling, even Guangong does not dare to play with a big knife in front of you. How can this be beaten like this? So miserable?" Poof. Huang Jiolong was angry, blocking his throat and eyes in one breath, spewing out a large mouthful of blood. He was extremely smart, and at this time, he somewhat expected that the one who knocked on the brick must be Suchanga. But what can be done? Can't say, ah. Here, seeing that Xiao Transparent was not too big to see the excitement here, Du Sihai and Lu Wanhong suddenly felt a fire in their hearts and looked at them angrily. That look, hated into the bone marrow. I can't wait to eat Suchanga. Humph. Damn it. It makes no sense. Little Transparent, what are you mocking? You can't find death. All the high-ranking people were also angry, and they all stared over, and their eyes were on fire, as if they wanted to kill. Huang Jiolong didn't say who the murderer was, and the anger in their hearts had nowhere to vent. They could only send it to Xiao Transparent. Under the anger of the people, Suchanga smiled coldly and said, "My master and master know that I am here. If I die here, the sect master is afraid that he will be turned up by them. You can try me?" Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. As soon as these words came out, the audience was instantly silent. Lihua Peak is this male disciple. If he really comes to Tiantai Peak, it will be gone, and Tiantai Peak is difficult to blame. Moreover, the right time is not the right time. You must know that yesterday, all the Tiantai Peak dispatched to consult the sect master to open the competition conference in advance. The purpose was to kill Xiao Transparent. But now that Lin Invincible just refused, he killed Xiao Transparent here. Wouldn't that be completely revealing? Damn, I'm angry too. Someone in the crowd let out an angry curse. Everyone else also cursed angrily, rubbing their fists. They really couldn't swallow this breath. Don't do it. Lu Wanhong shouted. Despite the clatter of the roots of the teeth, Du Sihai was no better. His whole face was distorted and deformed because of anger, and his face was livid. Suchanga did not forget to add a fire, and opened his teeth and danced his claws. A group of instigators. There is a kind of come to beat me. I won't hit you. Wait for the tournament to see the real chapter. Lu Wanhong roared lowly. By that time, I see where else you can jump. Good. Du Sihai suddenly smiled and stroked his beard. Hansa solemnly tells you are horizontal now. No problem, whatever you want, but in the tournament, fists and feet are eyeless, and death and injury are all destiny. Really at that time, this seat hopes that you can still jump up and down in front of me. Saying that, he turned his head to look at Huang Jiolong and said, "Listen, wait for the tournament, you punch him." Huang Jiolong took a deep breath and said, "Yes, Peak Lord." Suchanga sneered and said, "Okay, I'll wait for him to burst me." Immediately, "No more nonsense, take the waste pill and leave." But when he reached the door, he suddenly turned back and grabbed a large handful of good Dan, saying, "It's okay for me to bounce, right?" After that, he laughed and went out. Before leaving, he put on a mocking sentence, "Senior brother Huang, it doesn't matter if you fall, it's a big deal to fall to your death." Poof. Huang Jiulong was so angry that he spat out a mouthful of blood. Everyone in the Tiantai Peak added fuel to the fire, angry, the roots of their angry teeth itched, and they couldn't wait to eat Suchanga alive. "But you can't do it." Everyone didn't know that at this time, at the gate of the Dan Hall, a quasi-saint phantom was standing here, and the figure was hazy, like an invisible wind, extremely ethereal and mysterious. This phantom is not someone else, it is Yunhua Fairy. She looked at Huang Jiulong on the hospital bed in the hall, let out a long sigh, and shook her head. "Alas, if I had listened to me and gone to Daby Mountain earlier, it would not have ended up like this. Alas." While speaking, he was also guessing who the peerless Tianjiao, who had really opened up 18 cave heavens and caused the Daoyin to tremble 10 times, was. After this period of teaching, she couldn't be clearer about Huang Jiulong's talent. Her cultivation rose so slowly, and her understanding was average. How could it be peerless Tianjiao? And she also asked about this. Huang Jiulong knew that he couldn't hide this ancient power, so he said the matter one by one. Knowing the situation, Yunhua Fairy didn't say much. And in line with the principle that Huang Jiulong is kind to herself, she did not leak the matter. Just in the bottom of his heart, he became curious about that true peerless Tianjiao. When this feeling comes out of a lifetime, it can no longer be stopped, and it ripples in the bottom of my heart for no reason. I really hope to meet him one day. Suchanga had just walked out of the Alchemy Hall, swept his eyes sideways, and suddenly saw Yunhua Fairy. "Oh? It's beautiful." At such a close distance, I saw that Yunhua Fairy was very beautiful, wearing colorful clothes, slender posture, snow-white and flawless complexion, cherry lips delicate and pink, delicate and beautiful facial features, 3000. Green silk hanging smoothly behind the shoulders, ethereal and calm. Temperament, like a Luotian out of the water. Although she didn't know what hidden secret technique Yunhua Fairy used, Su Chang'e cultivated the great market refining Soul Sutra and saw her thoroughly. At a glance. I have to say, another big beauty, hey. However, he only glanced at it lightly and withdrew his gaze. Although his gaze flickered and he never seemed to care, he was still noticed by Yunhua Fairy. Yunhua Fairy was shocked in her heart. Could it be that he could see me? As soon as this thought crossed his mind, he saw the young man in front of him. Smile, did not say anything, and left. He didn't see me? Yunhua Fairy Dai's eyebrows jumped, comforting herself like this. Her hidden secret technique is extremely profound and mysterious, even a saint can't investigate it. How can she be seen by this person? Thinking like this, she secretly said that she was overhearted, and immediately prepared to return to the ring. Just the moment she turned around, somehow, her heart suddenly jumped, and she felt as if she had passed by a very important person in her life, and her heart suddenly became stunned, which made her mood also dull. Strange. Yunhua Fairy shook his head, feeling a little strange, and glanced back at the young man, only to find that he had walked away. For a while, she only felt a little interested. A mountain road. Suchanga was walking here, talking to a person. Senior, has Yunhua Fairy been counted as something recently? In his hand, a grain of sand had already appeared. It was the Dark Soul Emperor. When he glanced at Yunhua Fairy just now, he had already awakened the Dark Soul Emperor. And the Dark Soul Emperor only took a moment to calculate the opportunity that Yunhua Fairy was about to calculate. Young man, after 3 hours, Yunhua Ferry will tell Huang Jiulong, tonight. Heavy rain, lightning, and thunder. There is a tomb complex in Jeju City that was washed away by the flood, and the dead inside were revealed, and the next morning, many ordinary people went there to pick up gold and silver jewelry to accompany the funeral, but an old beggar went late, did not pick up any treasure, and finally only picked up a female corpse back. The female corpse seems to be just a corpse, but in fact it is very wrong. She is an immortal king who sealed the origin and evaded liquidation from the primeval era. You only need to make offerings to a certain extent to wake up. You hurry there. Get the female corpse before the old beggar arrives, come back and provide her with some heavenly treasures. One day when she recovers, it will help you tremendously, and at the tournament, you don't have to be afraid, just rely on her. Su Chang'e immediately grasped the point and said, Jeju City Tomb Group. Fairy Queen female corpse? Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Dark Soul Emperor nodded, and then calculated Huang Jiulong, and fiercely hated iron and steel. This fool, if I had been photographed by him, I would not be able to die alive now. Su Chang'e suddenly became interested, and said with a smile, what's wrong? Yunhua Ferry asked him to go quickly, but he was seriously injured. It would be difficult to heal for a while, and he couldn't go at all. Yunhua Ferry was anxious, and he had more than enough strength, feeling that this son really couldn't support the wall, but there was no way, he could only give up in pain. Su Chang'e burst out laughing. This was thanks to the slap of the master. At this moment, the Dark Soul Emperor's spiritual power was exhausted and he fell into a deep sleep. Su Chang'e walked to a place where there was no one, ran the quenching spirit secret technique, and began to remove impurities from those waste pills. This time's bone-nourishing pill is a treasure pill. The medicinal effect is extremely terrifying. How much the beautiful master wanted to get one before, but never got it. Luofing was sparsely populated, so the sect master would not allocate too many resources here, resulting in the beautiful master not too poor at that time, but also stretched, and the things she wanted could not be bought for a long time. But now, he can send her directly to the highest level. Jiao, jiao, jiao. A burst of sound sounded, and not long after, the impurities in the waste pill were removed one after another, transforming into the ultimate grade bone nourishing pill. Subsequently, Su Chang'e took out the good pill again, and with a sweep of his divine sense, there were 100 of them, and the fragrance of pure heart medicinal herbs lingered on it, which was very fresh. Immediately non-stop culling. After a period of time, all the bone-nourishing pills were transformed, a full of 1,803 pills. Waste pills are 1,703, plus 100 good pills. This number is not small. After doing this, he originally planned to go to the beautiful master immediately, but suddenly thought of the master and couldn't help but change his mind. The master and mother are back, and what the two of them want to say should not be finished in a day and a night. And Master Venerable will take himself out tomorrow, and it is estimated that there are many things that need to be arranged overtime tonight. Then send it tomorrow on the road. Having made up his mind, he headed back towards the cabin. In the evening, the 9 herald disciples escaped from the main peak and landed one by one among the 9 peaks. The sect master has an order, and the Lord of the 9 Peaks Peak has gathered all the halls of the council, and there is an order to be issued. The Lord of the 9 Peaks immediately went to the main peak. And not long after, Tiantai Peak, Alchemy Hall, Yunhua Ferry, suddenly blessed. The spirit calculated something, and whispered to Huang Jiulong, "Tonight. Heavy rain, lightning, and thunder. There is a tomb complex in Jeju City that was washed away by the flood." Huang Jiulong listened, moved his body, and suddenly a sharp pain came, emitting a harsh wail, unable to get out of bed and walk. Seeing this, Yunhua Fairy let out a long sigh. That night, sure enough, a heavy rain fell, void lightning thundered, and thunderstorms burst out. Early the next morning, in the small courtyard, Yi Qingyao said goodbye to Shui Hongyao and came to Su Chang'e's door early. Knock knock. She knocked on the door, her red lips opening and closing, and called, "Apprentice, I'm here to find you." In the room, Su Chang'e opened his eyes and opened the door. Last night, he did not let Lier and Xiaoyu come out, but stayed in the Shanhuang Pagoda of heaven and earth. The world is vast, the two of them are companions, they are not alone, and they can feel their breath at any time. And they can also feel themselves at any time. It was like taking the two of them with them, and they were not separated. Yi Qingyao walked into the room, looked at his small bed, sat down on the bed, and said softly, "Apprentice, do you want to go through the back door?" "Go through the back door?" Su Chang'e was a little puzzled, and asked rhetorically, "Master, what do you mean?" Yi Qingyao got closer, exhaled like a lawn, and said, "Yesterday, the sect master convened a meeting of the 9 peaks and told us about a treasure land, which is called Longling Grotto, which is a place where the ancient dragon fell, and the dragon bone was immortalized for 10,000 years and became a living fossil, so it is called Longling Grotto, and a lot of heavenly materials and earth treasures grow in it. The sect master asked us to come back and prepare first, and then lead the disciples to set out in 5 days, to sweep up the place. But now Master Wei wants to open a back door for you, take you in advance, before everyone in the sect leaves, and sweep away all the heavenly materials and earth treasures inside. Do you like it?" When Su Chang'e heard it, he immediately felt right in the middle. What he needs most is to improve his strength, and once he obtains all the heavenly materials and earth treasures inside, his strength will inevitably skyrocket. I have to say that this back door is really cool. I like it, of course I like it. Master Zun is so good to me, I love Master too. Death. Su Chang'e did not skimp on his tongue in the slightest. When you treat women, you have to boast, they are the creatures who like to talk sweetly. I don't see some people with good tongue skills, and they make beautiful women turn around. Just like it, then let's set off secretly, don't be known by other peaks. Yi Qingyao took his hand and tiptoed out. Soon, she took Su Chang'e out of the sect, quietly. Along the way, Yi Qingyao was happy in his heart. It was the first time to go out with his apprentice, first to Longling Grottos, and then to travel. This time he could stay alone with him for a long time. Probably thousands of miles away from the sect, sure that no one would perceive it. She waved her palm, and a palm-sized flying boat was thrown out. Read more novels for free on our website, tinyurl.com/2aa54z8b. Although the flying boat is only the size of a palm, it rises when it sees the wind, and it rises to a kilometer length almost instantly, flying in the air. With dense pavilions and dense lines, surrounded by Tao divine light, which is very extraordinary. Apprentice, follow me. Yi Qingyao took him to the flying boat and chose one of the attics to live in. Su Chang'e looked around, and saw that the windows of this room were clear. Although not gorgeous, but it gave people a feeling of a warm home. At this moment, he suddenly remembered the fairy queen corpse and said, "Master, I want to go to Jeju City first, it shouldn't be long to delay, what do you think?" Yi Qingyao was slightly stunned and said, what are you doing there? Suchunga waved his hand and smiled. I don't know how, I feel as if there is my chance there. Yi Qingyao nodded and said softly, it turned out to be so, no problem. Anyway, the others also set off 5 days later. We are so many days in advance, there is plenty of time, and it is not worse than this moment. She immediately reversed direction and the flying boat headed towards Jeju City. Suchunga let out a then took out a storage bag from his arms and said, Master, these pills are sent to you. You have another elixir to send me? Yi Qingyao chuckled in her heart, took the bag, opened it and took a look. As soon as the bag was opened, a strong aroma of healing and clear heart suddenly came to her nose, and she instantly felt that the bones of her body were extremely comfortable, as if the fracture had been cured at once, and the bones in her body were indescribably comfortable. This is the power of the ultimate drug. Although the ordinary quality bone-nourishing pill is terrifying, it is far from being comparable to the supreme-grade elixir, and the contrast between the two is like a contrast between heaven and earth. 1, 2, 3. There are so many bone-nourishing pills. Yi Qingyao's crystal peach blossom eyes were almost round, her wrists trembled slightly, and a thick emotion in her heart arose. How much she wanted to get this elixir, she almost dreamed of it, even if it was just one. But before, with her financial resources, she couldn't afford it at all. Even if Suchunga later gave her so many spirit stones, she was reluctant to buy them, because those spirit stones were reserved for apprentices, and she was reluctant to spend them on herself. But now, as soon as the apprentice shot more than 1,000 of this elixir, and all of them were of the highest level, she felt as if she had been smashed to the head by a jackpot, unbelievable, like a dream. Woohoo, this is your own treasure apprentice. Master? Seeing her stunned, Suchunga stretched out his hand and waved twice in front of her eyes. Yi Qingyao only then came back to his senses. His heart was extremely moved. Tears flowed out of his eyes, he hugged his neck fiercely, and cried with joy. Apprentice, don't let me open the back door for you. P.S. Thank you for the milk tea you sent yesterday, look at it, there are 5 people, the little author has remembered it in his heart, thank you. Crabs.